Today, I have a guest that's a friend of mine all the way from India. We met in 2019 when I went there for the first time, and I've been there twice. And we're going to talk about the similarities and the differences when it comes to practicing acupuncture in North America, where I am, and in India, where Dr. Gurudatta is located. We're also going to talk about yoga, but in the different perspective that we practice in North America, which I love. And it's really good for me. I'm really passionate about looking at how TCM is practiced all over the world and how similarities and differences are done in each bodies or each practice. And this is what we're going to talk about today. This is a very special episode for me because I am such a fan of the energy, authenticity, and knowledge that Dr. Gurudatta has brought to my life, even though I went there to teach. I learned so much when I was there, so I'm excited for you to meet this friend of mine. Let's go. Welcome to the AcuPro Show, a dear friend of mine, Dr. Gurudatta, all the way from India. And it's interesting because I've had a lot of guests on this show since we started 2 years ago, and a lot of them I've never met in person. But my dear friend, Dr. Gurudatta, I have met in person twice because he invited me to come and meet him and teach in Bangalore in India. So first of all, welcome, and thank you for accepting to be on the AcuPro Show.
It's my pleasure, Clara. It's always been a pleasure to meet you virtually and in person as well. I consider you as my teacher.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'm going to share a little bit of our story, and then I really want to dig into what and how India perceives acupuncture, what you do. I want to talk about yoga because that's something we talked about when I was there, and what you do exactly and who you are. But before we do, I'm just going to share a little bit of the story of how we met. As everybody knows, or if you don't know, I'm all over social media because this is what I do for the fun of it, to share and support everybody with acupuncture and TCM. And so Dr. Gurudatta contacted me a few years ago. I feel like it was probably in 2018, and said, I would love for you to come to Bangalore in India and teach. And so it was to be teaching for a group of doctors that were really interested in deepening their knowledge in acupuncture and TCM. And so we started talking. We had never met, and it was instant friendship. His energy was amazing. We met on Zoom and we started talking. And it was funny because that's the first time someone asked me to go teach somewhere else that North America. And I had never been to India. I had never met anybody there, and we met online. And this person who didn't know me trusted that I would actually show up at the airport, paid for my plane ticket to get there, had everything organized with all those people coming, did everything. He did such a great job. And yes, he had a team of people to help him as well, but he really organized the whole event the first time, because I went back twice. I went there twice in 2019 and later on in 2023, I feel like. And so when we met in person, his wife and him came to pick me up in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., at the airport in Bangalore. I knew right away that we would be friends. He's such a genuine, amazing person. But you have to understand that he had to trust that I was going to come. And I had to trust that when I got there, it was going to be a great event. It was well organized. It was not something that was all over the place. And it was so well organized. I had such a great time. I went there to teach for a week, an entire week from 9 to 5, met 36 beautiful souls that blew me away. That trip was magical. It was spiritual. It was such a connection with a country I had never been or even thought about going to, which was India. And it was such a great experience. That's how we met. And I would love for Dr. Gurudatta to share his point of view of that story before we dig into what he's doing, who he is, and how we're going to go about talking about what happens with acupuncture in India specifically.
I'd been following Clara online virtually for a pretty long time. I was so excited about her knowledge base about TCM and sharing knowledge with so many students and professionals who are practicing TCM across the world. And the way of presenting from Clara was it eloquent in the sense like anybody can easily understand and learn. When I was struggling to understand TCM from the books, so I didn't have anybody to guide me. So that's the reason when I went online and found her creatives of AcuPro Academy about all those TCM bases for acupuncture, I really loved it. Instantly, it came into my mind, why don't I meet her in person? So I messaged her. I didn't expect I would get a reply so soon, but as she mentioned, it was an instant connection for me as well that she replied, and I was so happy and thrilled. Yes, someone I am able to connect with to understand TCM better. So then we had a lot of conversation online virtually. But as Clara mentioned, when she showed up in airport, whether I would be there or whether I would expect her to land over in Bangalore, I never doubted any moment. I never doubted it. I was pretty sure and happy that she would come here. And I was just looking forward to share the knowledge of TCM to my fellow colleagues and co-practitioners who are there all over India to understand the genuinity and the depth of TCM in applying acupuncture. So that's how I met her. And it was really, as she mentioned, it was instant connection. And we still miss Clara coming to India. So we would like her to come often.
Thank you. It was such a great experience because, first of all, everybody was so friendly, so genuine. Everyone took care of me. You and your wife were amazing. And everybody that organized the first time and the second time. The first time we really focused on diagnosis and practicing diagnosis because that is the hardest part of TCM, as we know. And the second time we were more in depth with gynecology and mental health. And each time we did a week. And it was so fun to meet people, to see their passion. And one of the things that really struck me when I was in India is I was teaching at a college for many years in person in Vancouver. And sometimes I have students that pay thousands and thousands of dollars to come to school and they don't show up or they show up late or they're not really interested. And it's very hard when you teach. You want people to love to learn, right? And not saying that all my students were like this. There's obviously a big group of students that love to learn and are excited. But there's always some that are not really present, even though they're sitting there in the classroom. And in India, everyone was an adult, everyone was working. They all took a week off work to come and do this. So they lose the income for a week just to come and do this. And they have to pay money and all this. And some people came from far away, very far away. And everyone blew me away because not only they were present during the teaching days, during the day, but they would go home at night and then they would study what we did during the day. And the next morning they would come back with questions. And that blew me away. The need and the passion from learning, that was amazing. And that's when you explained to me, you know, your name, Dr. Gurudatta, has guru in it, which means teacher. And that in India, teachers are very much seen as someone very important because it allows you to grow. And so the most important thing that I didn't know in India for each person is to basically grow and spend your whole life being the best you can be. And that to me was fascinating. Can you explain that in a better way that I can?
In India, culture is so ingrained for us right from the time we were born. Three important things we give importance to. The first one is our parents who give birth to us. And the next one is our teachers. So, because we understand the world, we understand everything else apart from parents, the teachers. So, we give high reverence to their teaching and respect to that. It is an understanding that as a kid, when I was going to school, the teachers are given respect by touching their feet. So, we consider them as demigods, actually, gods sometimes. So, because they imbibe knowledge to us, which will help us not just for our livelihood, it's also for our living. There was a system in ancient India called Gurukul. Gurukul, in the sense, the parents send their kids to the school when they're about 8 or 10 years old. And everything is taken care by the school, right from their food, their clothing, their learnings, and what they want to become. They were given options. The teacher or a guru would understand what the student is good at. He will assess him for first few years. What is his innate talent which we can help him to blossom? That's how Gurukul went along. And at the end of maybe about few years, maybe 5, 6 years or 10 years, something when they get into adolescence, that is when the guru declares, the teacher declares, he is fit for whichever subject it could be. It could be mathematics, it could be archery, it could be warfare, it could be defense, it could be science, astronomy, or Indian literature, Indian philosophy, whatever, yoga for that matter. So when he tells that, yes, he is ready for the world, that's when the student asks, what should I give back to Guru? We call that as Guru Dakshina. So the teacher has the right. They never used to charge any fee for that because these Gurukuls were funded by the kings at that point of time before this democracy existed. So what happens? The teacher, the guru will ask the student, you give me Guru Dakshina in this form. Sometimes nothing at all. His Guru Dakshina would be spread this knowledge across the people, across the society for the betterment of the society. That's how the Gurukul was there. And that's the reverence we give to our teachers. And every year we have one day celebrate Guru Purnima. In the sense that day, we do a lot of reverence to just like how we pray to God, we pray to the health of the teacher and thank him and accept or ask for more knowledge. It's not just that, the guru also identifies whether this student is receiving, he is a good recipient of this knowledge. So he has all the abilities to understand the student, and nobody else better understands the student than the teacher. That was the system, what we were brought up to understand about the Gurukul system and the teaching system. That's the reason we always think that whatever we learn, especially what we learned about TCM from you during your first visit, we wanted to go back and read so that we definitely deepen our knowledge by asking different questions. And also, it values for your visit, it values what you're teaching. As you mentioned, only when there is receivers, the teacher can give. If you are blocked, the teacher cannot give us anything. So we'll have to reciprocate that. That's how we learned our school. My parents taught me this actually. If you attend a school today in the morning, come back home in the night, refresh whatever you have learned so that it consolidates in your memory. And if you have any doubts, tomorrow you can ask. Then you learn the concept completely, you master it. That's what we all follow.
I love it. I love it. That's just such a beautiful way of explaining it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so when I went there and you had a group of doctors and physicians that all did the same degrees you did. So can you explain the degree you did, which is naturopathic medicine and yogic or yoga science? And then how does that cover acupuncture? How do you learn acupuncture? And I know in India, acupressure is very big compared to North America, which not a lot of people do. So I would love for you to explain the degree you did and then how is acupuncture or acupressure fit into it?
A degree is called BNYS, Bachelor's in Naturopathy and Yogic Sciences. The basis for this is very simple. Health is a state of homeostasis. We all understand that, especially in traditional medicine, TCM, yoga, Ayurveda, whatever traditional Eastern medical systems are. To be in state of homeostasis, naturopathy tells a very simple thing. Be close to nature. Be close to nature's principles, whether it is circadian rhythm, whether your food, your exercise, your sleep, all those things will keep our gut health good. Now we understand our gut is the second brain. So our emotions and every other function in our system is optimally functioning so that our productivity is better, we are serving to the society. So naturopathy believes on the basis that the system, our human body, has innate ability to heal by itself. Just like TCM tells, you just create an environment, the body heals by itself. Because there are so much of parallels between TCM basis of acupuncture and naturopathic principles, which also believes in five elements. We call it as Pancha Mahabhutas, in the sense earth, water, sky, space, wood, what we call in TCM. We call that as another element. What we speak about here is air, which is probably wind in TCM, but we don't have an element as such. So there are a lot of parallels between naturopathic principles and the TCM-based acupuncture principles. That's how it fits together. At the same time, yoga was brought into naturopathic system because the philosophy behind yoga is almost similar as naturopathy. Rather, there are many scholars who are of the opinion that in India today, that Ayurveda is also a branch of naturopathy because nature is the one which gives everything else. Our ancestors learned probably every system of medicine through nature, nothing else. So obviously, nature is mother for every system of medicine. For that matter, I would say even the pharmaceuticals what we have today across the world originated from plants. That's how we got the medicines, right? So nature is mother for everything to heal. So yoga also imbibes that quality, that being close to nature, living on natural principles. That's why naturopathy and yoga were integrated. It's a 5.5 years regular course from the universities, from the medical university of the state in India. We learn all the basics like anatomy, physiology, pathology, modern medicine, including basic pharmaceuticals, forensic medicine, emergency medicine today, and acupuncture is part and parcel of our curriculum for about a year. And then we learn acupressure as well. Acupressure is very prevalent in India only for the reason that it's easy for application. Acupuncture is a little bit of intervention with needles. You need to have medical background so that you don't cause any injury or complications or anything. That's why it was less practiced, but last 2 decades, it's taken up a big role, and governments have started recognizing they want to form a regulatory body to monitor all this, to streamline it and bring it to the mainstream medicine as well. That efforts are happening in the government. So that's how we have the curriculum acupressure, yoga, we have diet and nutrition, massage therapy, water therapy. So we have integrated a lot of all these things except for any kind of medication. We strongly believe three important principles in naturopathy is sticking to nature's principles, detoxification, and discomposition of blood and lymph is the cause of the disease, and unity of cure and unity of disease. In the sense, the cause of the disease is losing homeostasis, and bringing back homeostasis will lead to health. Is the basic principles of naturopathy what we practice in India. But I understand in the Western world, naturopathy is more of supplements, more of homeopathic practice also gets added up to naturopathy. But in India, homeopathy has its own curriculum as well. And my interest has always been to connect to its roots, which is TCM.
Thank you so much. Great explanation. And you're right. So in North America, naturopathic doctors learn homeopathy, acupuncture, herbal medicine, nutrition, including supplements, like you mentioned as well. And then yours is very well rounded as well. What I love about, and I would love to talk about it, is you to explain the yogic science, or the part where you use yoga with your patients in order to reach homeostasis and to help them heal and regulate their body. Because in North America, yoga is something we do for exercise, right? So we meditate in yoga, which is great. We do it for exercise. So you have power yoga, hatha yoga, different kind of yoga, yin yoga. I love yin yoga because it's much more relaxing. But yin yoga to me is a very beautiful way of stretching and relaxing and putting your body into a parasympathetic state, which is like doing acupuncture for sure. But we're all in a class and nobody is telling you, okay, this is the exercise you need to do for you. So it's not specific to each person. So can you walk me through how you would help a patient using yoga principles in order to help them reach homeostasis?
Let's try to understand what is the basis in terms of yoga, how we look at the disease and health. According to me, We call that as panchakoshas, five-layered understanding. In the sense, each one of us have five different layers. The physical body is the most basic platform, which is visible, understandable, which is measurable, and diagnosing also the possibility. We call that as Annamaya Kosha. Anna means food. So the physical body, what I am today, from one cell in my mother's womb to trillions of cells today, is because of the food what we took. The muscles, the bones, everything else what we have is purely because of the food what we took. So that is the basis for everything else. So in terms of Annamaya Kosha, we have asanas, that is physical stretches, movements, exercises, which will bring in homeostasis in terms of our physical body. As you mentioned, the parasympathetic activity to go up to bring in homeostasis, to balance our hormones, to balance our neurological system, autonomic nervous system, and our hypothalamo-pituitary axis to be balanced, the hormones to be balanced, the fluids to be balanced, the heart functioning, every function of our physiological system is balanced. The next layer is pranamaya kosha, which is energy, what we call as chi in TCM or acupuncture. What we understand is chi is more powerful or prana is more powerful than the body. I give a simple analogy. We are living just because we are breathing. The moment we stop breathing, we don't live. We equate chi to the breath or prana or energy. So it is much more powerful than the physical body. A balance in the flow of energy or prana leads to good physical health. Above these two is the next layer is manomaya kosha. Manomaya kosha is our emotions and the mind. Any kind of variations in our emotions, for example, we are stressed, we are depressed, we are angry, we are crying, sad, whatever we are, it will have an impact on our energies. Who else other than TCM practitioners know about it? It has a direct connection with the organs. Any imbalances in our mind because of our stresses translates to imbalances in our pranamaya kosha, the energy, which, if it is consistently there, which shows the changes in our physical body. That's the disease. It can be heart disease, it can be diabetes, it can be gastritis, it can be arthritis, you name it. So, a balance of these three things, manomaya kosha, the mind, the pranamaya kosha, the chi or prana, and the physical body, Annamaya Kosha, when it is integrated, that's when homeostasis happens. So yoga believes all the diseases starts from Manomaya Kosha, from the mind. Variations in the mind causes all the problems in our physical body through the energetic body, which is Pranamaya Kosha. Beyond these three is Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is your intellect. For me, I believe that my intellect is always guiding which is the right path for us to take. We always have a choice whether I'm supposed to eat this sugar or not, whether I'm supposed to drink this or not, whether I'm taken over by my senses or, I have the judgment to think what is right for me. So, intellect is always guiding me, but my mind overpowers because of its sensual attractions. Intellect guides the mind, so it is above the mind. When these four, the body, the breath, or chi or prana, the mind, the emotions, and our intellect are in sync, we are in a state of bliss, happiness. That is Anandamaya Kosha. So these five layers is what yoga talks about. So many a times I wonder, why should we just stick on to the practices in the physical body? We should go to the higher practices in yoga, which is breathing practices, which is mind control through meditation. I'm sure the world is looking forward for the changes what happens in us because of meditation. I strongly believe our philosophy, our culture believes everything originated because of meditation to start with. What we do in meditation is always nullifying everything else. So I always tell meditation is not done, meditation happens. So that's where I feel yoga plays such an important role for the whole human race, irrespective of the borders. So it integrates everything else to keep ourselves sane, happy more than anything else. That's what my view of yoga is all about.
Did you know I created 3 books to support your TCM journey? Often I'm asked, Clara, what's the difference between all 3? Well, they all have fun, colorful visual to make them much more easy to grasp and understand each concept. They're definitely not your TCM typical boring dry books. They are available in hard copy and they ship all over the world. But if you'd rather the digital version, they all come with video links to complement them and can be downloaded on any device. My first book, Acupoint Made Easy, this is the orange one, covers all acupuncture points function, location, depth and angle of insertion, including special points categories, extra point cupping moxa, and all my clinical pearls. My second book, Chinese Medicine Made Easy, which is my green book, covers all TCM foundation, diagnosis, yes, including tongue and pulse, with lots of colorful visual to help you grasp specifically observation, right? Case studies, and my digital fillable intake form for you to use with your patients. My third book, Chinese Medicine Treatments Made Easy, that's my purple book, covers all TCM treatments for 160 syndromes, including acupuncture points, herbal formulas, diet, ear acupuncture, and many other TCM tools. So you can have that book at your fingertips every day in clinic. It is a must for all practitioners. I provide sample for each of my books that you can download to see if this is really truly what you were looking for, because I want you to be happy with what you're investing in when you invest in any of my products. You can check out the links to all my books in the show notes below, or go to my website, acuproacademy.com, and on the menu tab, click the shop tab and get your copy today. Thank you so much for that explanation and that teaching. So here's my question. When you share that meditation, it is not something that is done, it happens. A lot of my patients and a lot of people will say, I can't meditate. I have a million thoughts that come in. I tried. After 5 minutes, I'm like, what's the point? So how do we go from trying to do medication, so doing it, to that state of bliss where it just happens? How long does it take for each person? And obviously it depends on the imbalances, but what if you have patients saying, I can't meditate, my brain is nonstop, what do I do to get into that state where it is just happening and not done? And I've had that, and I have to say, it is bliss. I've had that where you go for meditation and suddenly it's empty and your mind is seeing colors and it's beautiful and it feels blissful. But I have to say that every time I meditate, doesn't happen every time at all.
Yes, you're very right. It doesn't happen every time. It happens once in a while. See, it is very simple. We are so used to always thinking. I feel overthinking is ubiquitous across the world. We don't know how to draw the line where I should stop thinking. So it has been fed to us probably through years of our cultures, whatever in each different country. Thinking is like food for the mind. If you're not thinking, except when you sleep, probably even in sleep you're thinking because of the dreams or whatever. So we have never experienced the thoughtlessness state. So much so that we fear that state. So that's the reason we have got habituated with so many thoughts that I don't know what to do when not having any thoughts. It's a skill actually, doing nothing. One of my very good teachers had always told, please learn to do nothing. We are always keep doing things. That's the reason why they find it anxious, fearful of not doing. I am not able to meditate. So many thoughts come. It's very simple. When you have a dam and the gates are closed, the water is full. The moment you open the gates, the water gushes so fast, you can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. Same thing happens. When you're sitting for meditation, you have to witness your thoughts. You should not directly attempt to reduce the thoughts. Let the thoughts flow. You just be a witness. If you find it too difficult, I would advise my clients, my patients, anybody, just sit, don't do anything. If I'm doing something, how you watch me, you watch your own self. But for that to also happen, many times it will take time because we are not used to it. It will take some time. We have to have a consistent practice. In yoga, it's very important we talk about any practice to find an outcome out of it. You have to do it for 90 days. The moment you consistently do 90 days, the results start showing. Once it starts showing, it's for your lifetime. We have an analogy for that. Coconut trees, when you plant it, it won't give any fruits, no yield for 8 to 10 years. But you have to feed it with water, with everything possible. Day it starts giving you fruit, whatever it gives, you don't have to take care of it. It will take care for generations. So that way, we'll have to have consistently, don't try to do yoga. Just be in yoga. Just be a witness. Just sit, focus on what you're doing, maybe the breath. If you can't do that, shift your focus to something like breathing or some chanting or sometimes a good music in the background. All those things will help. Create an environment. Eventually, with practice, you will reach that state. So initially, it is like imagine I'm focusing a flame. I have to put a lot of effort initially, but I realize after a certain point of time, there is no difference between me and the flame. It's all one and the same. So that is meditation happening. So we are all in the state of observing the flame. We have not yet reached the state where me and flame is one. That's why it is hard for us because of our habits, because of our upbringing. So we have to bring in silence slowly, then the thoughts will reduce gradually.
It's the same in Qigong. I love Qigong as well, which is very similar with the breathing and the calmness. And it's the same thing. If you don't practice it regularly, you're not going to reach that state. And I think it's like everything in life. If you don't practice, you don't get better at it. And I think people give up way too early because their expectation is so high. They think that, oh, after I do it for 2 days, I should be like easy meditating. I would not have any thoughts. And it's not like that at all. So it's like anything else. It's the same with acupuncture. If you've had insomnia for 20 years, and you're coming to see me with insomnia for 20 years, one treatment's not going to put you in blissful sleep because we need to figure out the root cause, what's going on, what's the imbalance, what started it all, and then we need to address the whole entire person. And then slowly we're going to start getting some results, right? So I would love for you to talk about how acupuncture is used in your practice, for example, because obviously everybody has different practices, but I've been to your clinic, which is a beautiful clinic, beautiful space. In Canada, a lot of people will come and see practitioners once a week, sometimes twice a week if it's really acute, sometimes every 2 weeks, it depends. And we're talking just about acupuncture because, of course, there's herbs and there's other things. But for acupuncture itself, I know in India, the way you practice for treatment and session is very different. So could you share that?
Yes, of course. There are two different kinds of practice what we do for acupuncture in India. It has been a kind of practice what we get along that once the basic consultation and diagnosis is done, we ask them to come continuously for 7 or 10 days without any break so that we kickstart the state of correction or balancing. And if it is chronic, what we do is after 10 or 7 days of treatment, we give a breakup for about 7 more days for them to recuperate, see what is happening, and understand what is happening. And then we ask them to come back again for next 7 to 10 days. So that is the practice what we do in India for acupuncture. But in my personal practice, if it is very acute, I'll ask them to come every day. Otherwise, we ask them to come 3 times a week or 4 times a week. And then, as the symptoms, as the condition gets better, I taper them down twice a week or once a week and see to it that, along with acupuncture, I add up yoga practice for them, teaching breathing exercises, stretchings, meditation, and also change the food habits what they have based on naturopathic principles and also take into consideration the modern nutrition perspective of gut health. Functional medicine is taking a very big role in modern practice today in India. I'm assuming that's the same across the world. And so we bring in the concept of gut health is the best health for everything else. So, nutrition, in terms of naturopathic principles, detoxification, along with yoga and acupuncture, if required on an acute condition, for every day for 7 to 10 days. Then give a break and then continue it again. That's how we practice in India. And we find that when the conditions are acute and there is outcome, people are ready to come for that. They do come and then they take a break. And the results come very quickly in that case.
I love that because you're right. If you come every day, you're going to see so much faster results. To me, it makes sense. However, in North America, it would be very difficult because, first of all, no practitioners work 7 days a week. So if you have to come 7 days to 10 days in a row, that would be hard. The second issue would be to pay for that much money for 7 times in a week kind of thing. The third problem is the commitment to find the time to come every day when you have family, work, etc. I would love to see people on a regular basis every day for at least 7 to 10 days and see the progress so fast. However, it is going to be very difficult in our society and the way we work here. But I love that because I would think that the results would be much faster because you're compounding so fast. I really appreciate you sharing this because this is something that I wish we could do. Unfortunately, it is not really possible.
But in India, what happens is the medicine practice is such that if you go to a doctor, they just assume whatever he tells is the best for me. I don't think about my work in terms of finance or whatever. I have found every other system of medicine I have tried. I have not got the outcome or which is helping me to carry on my life well. So if this doctor is telling, and usually it happens through word of mouth or reference, someone I have healed or I have helped that patient, so he refers somebody else. So he comes with the trust already, and the message goes already that he treated me 7 days every day. That's how it happened. I think you would expect the same thing to happen to you. That's how they're already ready for that. They're mentally prepared that this is how it is going to be. And they probably tell their family and their work that I'll not be available for a few hours in the day for my treatment, and it's valued and it's accepted. So that's how they're able to afford to come. And I assume the financial aspect in India is way more affordable for acupuncture than anywhere else in the world. And here, the medical practice is something like that. There is no strict rules that you have to take off 2 days in a week or anything. If there is a need, if the patients need, maybe even Sundays, we work half a day. We squeeze in the appointments in such a way that, yes, they need to be helped, or they're coming from a different city for the treatment purpose only. So I can't waste their time. So I need to dedicate myself. So that's how the practice happens in India. That's how it helps both the sides. It's win-win.
I absolutely agree with that. I would love to see studies on acupuncture done 7 to 10 days in a row for someone and then doing it once or twice a week for 10 weeks, the same amount, and see how slow the progress is versus every day. And I pretty much imagine that doing it every day would go so much faster, especially when it's acute as well. And I love that you talk about obviously giving them homework. So when we give homework patients, which is called compliancy of diet, because as you said, gut health and digestion is at the center of our health. That is the hardest part for patients. And that is frustrating for practitioners when you give homeworks and the homeworks are not done because we work as a team, right?
Yes.
It's not just me helping you, you have to help yourself as well. Do you feel like the people in India, like you were saying, they have no problem telling their work, I have to go for treatment, it's all accepted? Are they more compliant when it comes to diet, or are they the same as North America where it's still a struggle?
I feel it is still a struggle because food is such a important role which plays for anybody, for the human race, irrespective of the borders. I would say sometimes we are addicted to food as well. So it is very difficult to let go. It's the same in our Indian culture as well because we have so many festivals across the year and so many delicacies and so many variety and different cultures all over the country that you would love their food. But at times, it's as a practitioner, it is my responsibility to make my patient or the client to understand what is its role. We need to spend time with them. See, this is what is happening with you. So if you're not addressing your root cause, what happens is you may put a patch to your problem, but it will come back tomorrow. So you're going to need a bigger patch tomorrow. So I would tell them, be moderate. Then you can enjoy the food whole life. But if you're excess today, somewhere you have to stop tomorrow. So don't reach the stage where you depend more on pills than food.
Well done.
That way, I would always say, choice is yours. You're an adult, you're a sensible person, so you decide. Then they understand, yes, I need to do this. Let me be moderate and enjoy the whole life. Let me have a drink a week, and so that I can live up to 75 or 80, 85. But if I have a drink every day, I don't know, I may end up at 50 with cirrhosis. I don't know. So choice is yours. That's the simple analogy I would put it across, and it works most of the time. But it's still a challenge.
I think it's really trying to connect with the patient's understanding of how they can facilitate their health by doing a little bit of homework, but not telling them that, okay, that's it, you're done, you can't have this, you can't have that, because then they feel like, oh, you're taking everything away from me. But if you bringing it down and reducing it and say, hey, let's be more moderate, I think that's a great way of presenting it. One of the questions I have is, when I'm on social media, a lot of people that are from India will ask me all the time, do you sedate or do you tonify this point? Do you sedate or do you tonify this point? I get that question very often, specifically from people that practice in India. So my question is, when you do acupuncture in your practice, do you manipulate the needles? Do you sedate and tonify every single time? Or do you let the patients be with the needle and let the needle do the job? I would love to hear what you prefer to do and what you do in general.
My personal practice is usually I have a very mild, moderate, either if the tonification is required where there is deficiency or sedating is required if there is excess. I would do that for a very brief period, for a few seconds to start with, and allow the needle to work later. I have a beautiful room and music. We have pure natural rose water. I dab a tissue with rose water. I put them on their eyes, and I'll ask them to have a good breathing practice, teach them a little bit of practice of how to breathe. And they're just lying down, what we call it as Shavasana in yoga, relaxation pose, where you sleep off. So then they're accepting the needle, and I'll just do minimum tonification or sedation as required, and I leave it at that. That works. More than anything else, that works. I strongly don't believe too much in electroacupuncture because I feel it's excess stimulation. Because naturopathic principle believes self-healing, giving an opportunity. So acupuncture promotes that or helps that to happen. That's why I do that kind of practice.
I love it. This is why you and I are very good friends, because I'm the same way. I want the body to get in that parasympathetic state. I'm very classic in my acupuncture, so I don't use a lot of electro stimulation neither. Very rarely or at certain specific, but in general, 90% of the time, I just let the needle do, like you said, just relax, allow the needle to do the work, to basically signal to your brain that you need to go into a healing and regulating, self-regulating state. So I'm like you, I don't like to stimulate and overstimulate the needles as well. I love that you're doing this. So it's like we're brothers and sisters from two different parts of the world when it comes to TCM. I really appreciate you coming in on this late evening. I know it was your first podcast, and you're such a good teacher and you're so calm. And that's why we've been friends for a long time now. And it's so nice to see you. So, again, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate your time. You are a TCM rock star in my heart and such a good friend. So, thank you.
It's my pleasure always, Clara, to interact with you. I've learned a lot about TCM from you. I keep referring your books even today. I have all your books, and it's such a nice presentation. You're such a good presenter, such a good teacher. You put it so nicely and very understandable for any common man who doesn't have knowledge of TCM or acupuncture. So it's always been my pleasure and a dream to interact with you. I'd love to see you back in Bangalore soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly hope you benefited from this episode, and I would love for you to share it with a friend that may benefit from it as well. Follow the show, leave a review, and if you want more, go to my website, acuproacademy.com. I have tons of resources there with treatment protocols, case studies, free courses, and so much more. And connect with me on all social media at AcuPro Academy. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, Pinterest, and LinkedIn and TikTok. And no matter what, keep rocking it using TCM. Please listen to the disclaimer, because the AcuPro Show podcast and material shared through AcuPro Academy, which is a subdivision of Natural Health Sense Incorporated, are designed solely for educational and entertainment purposes. The utilization of information from this podcast or any associated material is at the user's discretion and risk. This content is not meant to replace the guidance of an acupuncturist, Chinese medicine doctor, medical doctor, physician, or any qualified professional, nor is it a substitute for proper diagnosis or treatment. Users are strongly advised not to ignore or postpone seeking medical advice for any existing medical condition with their healthcare professional regarding any health concerns.